Yo,
To another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
So guys, real quick here, let me make sure you can all hear me. All right, thanks for joining me today, everybody. I am attorney Michael Eline. I am a California and Texas personal injury lawyer, but I have a background in appellate law, and I have a particularly interesting background that makes me an expert on the bar exam and the history of American common law and the American bar exam in particular, which we'll get into in a minute. The first thing I want to do is say, for all of the Chili De Castro fans, I know this is a little bit different than the auditing cop watch stuff, but again, I teach people how to become lawyers, and I teach people to understand the law so they'll know how to keep it well, as Thomas Aquinas wanted us to do. And I am a natural law theorist. I believe that all of our rights come from a higher power and not from the state, which is why the left probably hates me, because they don't like the idea of the government not being able to control every aspect of your life. So let's get into this. Thank you, Sammy, for coming. Thank you, Chevy, Jim, Mushroom Manny, Let's OTVO. Thanks. Give me a bunch of ones if you missed Chili, and I'll have an update for you. Hopefully I'll see him tomorrow and I'll have an update for you afterwards. And then Jody Shiloh, of course, thanks for coming. What's up, Wanda? Thanks for coming. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into a little bit. And by the way, if you want to give me some super chats today, I did bring a bottle of Modelo just in case. And I'll take a sip for every super chat you give me. And let me see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into it a little bit about what's going on with a lot of bar exams in a lot of states. We've seen a push since this last federal election to lower educational standards across the board, and especially in the Western states. And we see them doing it in Oregon and Washington State with the bar exam. And the idea is that so-called racial minorities are not intelligent enough to be able to get like a voter ID card. They're not capable of passing the bar exam, according to the experts who work for these nonprofits who are paid to do these exploratory committees to lower education standards. And that's sort of the setup for all this. And we're going to get into what's going on in California and how crazy this is, because in California, they're moving full steam ahead. They have all these so-called exploratory committees. And of course, it's all just these, people who get tax-funded dollars and people who recommend things. There's always a politician at the end of the recommendation rainbow. Anyways, what ended up happening here is the California State Bar has now recommended a pilot portfolio bar exam. So a pilot portfolio bar exam. And what that means for all you guys is for people who were not capable of passing the bar exam because they didn't have the right study habits or whatever, that's being blamed apparently on a brand of systemic racism geared towards rote memory. They're saying, well, bar exam's really not that great of a thing because it's based on rote memorization, and it doesn't really it's not as good as this other program that we want to do for people who were not capable of passing. In other words, if you couldn't pass the bar exam and you went to an ABA school, they're going to give you a back door. And what that back door is going to be is you can study for one subject, like personal injury, for example, or whatever it might be, and then specialize in that. And then you can basically practice law, but only in that area. And that's kind of the way it works. It's really hard to explain, but I'll try to help you understand as best I can. So basically, the Supreme Court may have already authorized this. I have not checked yet, but they will. It'll end up getting authorized. Mark my words. It's the same political party pushing this that made sure all those people got elected to the Supreme Court. don't you think for a minute that they're not going to pass this. And this has been something that's been going on for a long time. A lot of lawyers are terrified. And basically, here's the idea. The Board of Trustees is going to recommend that the Supreme Court authorize the state bar to implement a pilot bar examination. And it's basically going to be based on these particular things. And the rationale is that this provisional bar exam, or whatever they want to call it, is going to be based very similarly on what Wisconsin and New Hampshire have been doing. They're saying, well, these poor people, they couldn't pass, they couldn't get a license, so we've got to lower the standards, in my opinion, lower the standards or find a way to help them because they couldn't do it, right? Because merit and things like that are racist, right? That's the new push, especially in the Western Seaboard. So they're saying over the past 5 years, 51% of attorneys admitted to practice in Wisconsin were admitted via what's called the diploma privilege, and 19% were admitted via passage of the bar exam, and 30% of out-of-state lawyers were admitted by motion. So they picked Wisconsin, which is probably the easiest bar exam in the country. And they talk about diploma privilege. Well, diploma privilege historically was, if you go to this particular law school, it was basically like this racist thing where if you could afford to go to a school, you wouldn't have to take the bar exam. It would just waive you in. And so that the idea behind that was to help discourage Black people from taking the bar exam, because a lot of people back then didn't want people to take the bar exam. I don't know if that's the history of Wisconsin's, but certainly was the history of the southern states. So anyways, they're trying to talk about Wisconsin compared to that, blah, blah, blah. And what it really leads back to is the American Bar Association. So the ABA are the only people who are going to be allowed to issue these pilot programs. So if you go to a Cal Bar certified school or the law study program like I was on, you won't be able to enter the program. So really what it is, it's a gift to the ABA and all their buddies and ABA schools who donate money to a certain political party. And in exchange, now that political party is going to make sure that favor is curried upon ABA schools who are having problems with attendance and recruiting students who are smart enough, right? So now they're going to be able to scrape the bottom of the barrel and get people who otherwise would never have been able to pass the bar exam and put them on a pilot program and raise money for the school. Then, of course, we know who this school is going to donate money to. It's all political, but at the end of the day, I want to go over eligibility and let you see what's going on. So in order to be eligible, you have to be a JD graduate of an ABA accredited school or a California in order to be eligible. And graduate so California accredited law schools would be eligible apparently, but graduates of the unaccredited schools would not be. So I would not have been eligible because I was in the law study program. The curriculum would be that you have to have completed law school courses in 9 doctrinal subjects identified by the BRC as subject matters necessary for establishing minimum competence. So they want you to be able to establish minimum competence. Provisional licenses. Candidates will be provisionally licensed while they are participating in this special program. And we'll talk about what the special program is, because it kind of sounds like the old reading for the law, where you would read for the law under a lawyer, which I think is a superior method to become a lawyer. I like that part. Now the practice scope. So you're going to have to be supervised. Candidates with provisional licenses would have authority, responsibilities, and duties similar to licenses duties similar to provisional licensees in the provisional licensure program. Gosh, I hate all these big words. Supervisors must hold active licenses and not be immediate family members of the candidate. So just really quick, what they're saying is you can study law in a certain provisional way, but it can't be a family member. You have to do at least 700 to 1,000 hours of legal work, capped at no more than 40 hours a week. The portfolio of each candidate must be that they submit work products meeting specific requirements to make up a portfolio. So they call it a portfolio program. So what you're really doing, instead of having to pass the bar exam, If you can show that, well, I worked for this judge or I worked for this lawyer and I did a certain amount of hours at this certain thing, now I have the portfolio to be waved in and maybe be maybe a work comp attorney or a work comp assistant or something like that. I would be able to do that. Again, that's a hypothetical. Okay. The working group recommends the number of work products be between 8 and 13 or 2 or 3 essays covering issues of professional responsibility, professionalism, civility, blah, blah, blah. And apparently they're recommending the stuff all be open book. So they don't, because they're saying rote memory is bad, open book is good. See, I see, to me, the bar exam is not rote memorization. The bar exam is a problem-solving speed exam. And I think it's definitely very important to be able to identify if you have the minimum requirements. And I think just focusing on one little area of law like that is really stupid because there are so many crossover elements that what a provisional, one of these guys, where they call him portfolio lawyer, they're going to miss a lot of stuff. Whereas I would be sued for malpractice for missing those same things. A lot of problems. Put it in the comments if you understand what I'm talking about. And I'm going to answer questions in a minute. I just want to get you guys through this really quick. So basically, they're saying that you have to cover things like negotiations, client encounters, and the grading is going to be based on the component of the portfolio anonymously by independent examiners, grading and rubrics established to ensure consistent grading across all examiners. To further ensure consistency, the scores of each component will be combined. Pass the candidate score must exceed the identified cut score. An ombudsperson will deal with the working group and respond to concerns. Anyways, there's a bunch of public comment that was received, and it's the board wants to do it. So, and then they had all these, 134 okay, these are all like far left woke, organizations. They all race to the bottom. That's what it's all about, because they want that tuition money, guys, and they don't want critical thinkers. They want reactionary thinkers. That's what public education wants. Reactionary thinkers, people who would just emotionally respond based on whatever the for-profit media tells them to do. Pavlov's dog. That's what they want. And so by lowering bar standards, in my opinion, that's what they're getting. Pavlov's dog. People who couldn't pass the bar exam. Oh, great. Let's lower the standards, get that tuition money from our politician friends, and let's make sure to donate a bunch of money back to our politician friends so we can keep our cushy job, keep overcharging people, and keep bragging about the ABA. Originally, I think the ABA was a very racist organization. I think all their heads were KKK members. Really interesting, isn't it? How they still have the same mentality. Let's keep people as dumb as possible. Let's not educate them. Let's say poor thing, right? Let's say poor thing. You're not capable. It's rote memory anyways. Doesn't matter. Even though everybody else who's been practicing law, who's got a law license, was able to do it. Poor you. You weren't able to do it because of systemic this, systemic that. Poor guy. Woe is me. Race to the bottom. Make sure you vote for me, and I'll make sure that you can practice law and still make a living. And that's what it really boils down to. Now, the key components to the portfolio exam are basically the trustees are recommending that the state Supreme Court authorizes this pilot program. All right. So really quick, guys, the Supreme Court of California ultimately gets to decide whether or not the program gets approved or not. And not the bar. Okay. The state bar just makes the recommendation, but the state bar, they run the lawyers. They're the ones who decide whether you keep your license, whether you get your license at the end of the day. It just has to be signed up by the Supreme Court. So be looking out for California, like many other Western states, to initiate this program. And right now, the eligibility to be on the pilot program are JD grads of an ABA or a California bar accredited law school. So these are people that graduated but who couldn't pass the bar, basically. Following me so far? These are people who you probably would not want to have represent you as a lawyer. But, hey, we got to make sure they get an award, right? Everyone gets a trophy, right? That's my impression of this is everyone gets a trophy. And who benefits? Well, the schools, right? They can make money out of this, because now you don't have to go to pass the bar, and you get to go to a law school That's going to be a lot more students, a lot more Pell Grants, a lot more federal grants and loans. It's going to be great for those schools, right? So they can overcharge you for a worthless degree. Okay. So let's see here. Supervisors have to be PLP, whatever that is. I'm going to look in the sidebar, see if any of you have any questions for me. All right. So, well, so far, it's good to have all you guys talking about Cop Watch stuff. At least you're here. But I'm hoping that you're getting a little bit of an education. At the end of the day, what you have is you have people now are going to be practicing law, but only in a limited part of law, like maybe just real estate law, or maybe just personal injury law, or maybe just some other type of law, right? Like some carved out exception, but they will not have had the requisite training to really think like a lawyer who understands all facets of law. So to me, that means they're going to miss issues. Now, a lot of you may ask, well, Mike, you didn't like go the traditional path. You studied, you read for the law, and that's true. So let me just sort of differentiate what I did. So the way I became a lawyer is I became a lawyer the way they did it more like back in the days of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templars actually housed the very first law school. And that was the Temple Inn, I believe, and right outside the gates of London. And there was a big breakup between the King of England and the Catholic Church. And of course, the Templars were Catholic. And ultimately, the people who were teaching law had to leave London, and they ended up in the Temple Inn studying law, where the Knights Templars were housed. And the way you would become a lawyer is the way you would become a Mason. For example, you'd be part of a guild, and you would go to court every day and be with your lawyer. You'd sweep out the quarters at night. You'd eat with them. You'd sleep in the same quarters, like a barracks almost. And you would come up as if you were a stonemason. And then at the end of your training, kind of like judo, you're the black belt guy would say, okay, it's time for you to take your test for your yellow belt or whatever, kind of the same thing. It's time for you to start thinking about passing through the bar. It's because you pass the bar, you go through the well, you pass the bar, and now you can stand with the judges and be an officer of the court. And that's the way it was. And the way you would pass the bar is that you would basically take like an oral exam before the judge, or maybe a 3-judge panel, depending on where you were. And you would then be granted entry into the bar, and you would pass the bar. You'd walk through the well and pass the bar. And then the chain across the Temple Inn is also called the bar. So passing the bar to go into law school as well. So there's a couple theories as to how we got the name bar, but that's where the name barrister also comes from. So I'm just giving you a little history because I want you guys to know the law, because I want you to understand what's going on, because what's going to happen in California is going to happen everywhere. So for me, having a traditional bar exam means more like what I did. But in addition to what I did, I also had to pass the bar exam. And so in order for me to have the minimal standards for them to know that I could pass the bar exam without going to a regular law school, I had to pass the baby bar exam. And that was less than a 10% pass rate when I took it. And I think Kim Kardashian passed that exam after her 3rd attempt. Very, very difficult exam. It covers contracts, torts, and criminal law. It is a ball breaker. I passed that bad boy on my 2nd attempt. It was rough. And that gave the Committee of Bar Examiners notification that I was probably going to be intelligent enough to pass the real bar exam in 3 years from that date. It's a 4-year program. Now, it looks like this pilot portfolio program, they don't require you to take a baby bar. You don't have to meet any minimum quals. You just have to show that, you worked for the right lawyer for a certain amount of time, and then you can kind of get waived. But the downside for them is they don't take the full bar exam, and they're not allowed to practice all areas of law, just a specific area of law. But again, I think that you're ill-equipped. It would be like joining the Marine Corps, but not being able to make it through 3rd phase. So they give you a partial Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. So now you go out into the fleet and you're a partial Marine, but you don't really know how to handle a light machine gun. You don't really know how to, deal with some different tactics. Maybe you didn't take night compass training, so you're worse off than a second lieutenant. You just don't know. So the idea behind having the bar exam is a good idea, in my opinion, a written bar exam, because it does show that you've established the minimum basic standards to understand the law, and maybe, but not necessarily practice law. And so I would say to my audience that I do agree in principle with the idea of reading law and studying under a lawyer. I think that they should be doing that. That's what I did. But I disagree with not having this grand finale bar exam, because look, man, I slept on park benches to do this. I worked at a Home Depot, sold my limo company. I sacrificed a lot to do this. And now I see people who are like non-hackers. They're going to come along and get no, that's crazy. Just like they're forgiving all these loans to try to get votes, the student loans. These guys go to college because the government says, oh, you need to go to college, and they get a degree in underwater basket weaving, but they learn everything about Joe Stalin and Che Guevara and how all the white people are evil colonizers. These colleges are like political re-education camps. They're not teaching them anything. I think that you'd be better off studying law in a law office, studying under a judge or a lawyer, and then also have to take the bar exam like I did. Now, I also did go to law school, so I ended up passing the baby bar and studying law. And then Gary Dordick, who is one of the best trial lawyers in the United States, he just won a $2 billion verdict against the Catholic Church for child abuse. I consider him to be one of the most honorable, best lawyers in the country. He went to UWLA. He wrote a letter for me, along with Billy Jean, a supervisor of mine at the LA City Attorney, where I was an extern studying law, to get me into UWLA. So they waived the first year classes. And so I was able to attend law school at night, but I passed the bar exam on the law study program, and then studied law at night at UWLA just so I could get a JD, because I have no undergrad. I have no really basic educational training at all. I barely graduated high school, and I had to graduate high school because my goal was to be a Marine for life. And then I was injured in training and had surgery. So just really quick, that's my story. Now, by the way, I see we got 39 viewers in here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save and share this one with people, guys, because this is a really important one, because this is going to affect public safety immensely. If we start chasing down to lower the cost of a lawyer, this is going to be a real problem. And we're going to start hiring these guys, and they're going to malpractice like crazy. And public safety is going to be crazy too, because now we've got people who should not be lawyers, but who are doing the same things as lawyers. It's very scary to me. Now, let me just look in the sidebar here. I don't see any super chats, so I'm going to take a drink anyways, guys. I've been up since about 0400. I had to start working on another job here to pay the bills till things turned around. COVID wiped out our law practice. Because we work on personal injury basis. So there were not a lot of car accidents. Oh, look at this. Wait, Chevy. Hey, Chevy. Thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat, homie. Everybody, I'm going to take a drink for Chevy. Thank you, Chevy. Hey, Michael, don't get drunk on live. Just kidding. Yeah, you better be kidding, because I need to, man. I've had a rough day. Let me scroll up. I want to make sure I didn't miss any other ones. So it looks like I got a $10 super chat somewhere too. What the heck? Let me go find it. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys. I wouldn't be doing this if Shilly hadn't got locked up. What ended up happening is, because he was introducing all you guys to me, because I was originally going to be teaching him how to be a lawyer on the law study program, right? And I'll find that super chat in just a second. Here, wait, where is it? And then he gets locked up, and I was just, man, this guy would make a phenomenal. Thank you, Chevy. Thank you, guys. Ding, 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 ding. We get another one for you. So what ended up happening is a lot of people started reaching out to me, including like BZ Watchdog, who I saw was a Marine. He's like, dude, you got to do a show or whatever. So I did a show, like just one, and we got like 11,000 views. And I was like, what the heck, man? And then my phone started blowing up. So I was like, I just said, you know what? We're just going to start doing these every day. But the videos that I was doing were things more about, like how to become a lawyer, or can Trump win his fraud case, or can he win his appeal? But then I started doing stuff about auditing because I saw that a lot of you guys, they call them frauditors, whatever, cop watchers, are doing things that I think that are wrong. And a lot of things that you guys think are wrong, like soliciting a trespass and things like that. Like a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what words mean in law, and words mean things, guys. And so I said, I'm going to start teaching you guys about the law, what the law is. And one of the things is definition. So you look in my shorts, if you look, not in my shorts that I'm wearing, but the shorts that I posted, I'm trying to post right now civil law stuff. So like, what is a duty? What is a breach of duty? What is a tort? So look at my shorts, because I've got about a couple hundred posted now, like go into back history. Some of them only have like 40 likes. So I know I posted those before Chili's people came on board. Go back and take a look at those. So that the tort section, that's just one part of law. Negligence, that's one of the areas that you have to study to become a lawyer. And that's one of the most important ones, because when a police officer violates you, hits you or whatever, that's going to be a civil case. That's going to involve battery, assault. So I want you guys to learn that. But anyways, I just wanted you guys to understand that, I teach law. I became a lawyer on a very unique program, the same program that Kim Kardashian is on. And so I wanted to be able to have you understand that, I'm not always going to be posting every day, like, reaction video on some guy getting arrested or a cop beating someone up. What I want to do is arm you with knowledge. So when you're out there facing law enforcement, or anyone who's violating your rights, for any government agency, or even just a common person, that you understand the proper approach, because you can win your case and have a jury just give you a buck because they think you're a jerk. So I want to teach you guys, basic things, basic civility, and how to set up your case so you can win it. And then Basil, of course, is really good with public records requests, FOIA. So I plan on doing another video with him on FOIA. Watch the one we did a few days ago about the U.S. Post Office, and about how he was able to get that document, and about filming at the post office, how their own documents say that you're allowed to engage in First Amendment protected activities like news reporting within the post office. A lot of people don't seem to understand that. It's not really a public forum. You can't know it. It's still public. It's still a place where you do public business. It's a matter of public concern to be able to do news stories about the post office. It's just that you can't interfere. So we'll talk about that another time again. Let me get in here really quick. Oh, Ralph Riley. Whoa, ding, ding, ding. Ralphie, my boy. This one's for the Mennonites, my brother. All right. And then Ed Vincent, I'm calling you out, Mikey. Prove you got a JD without an undergrad. Well, that's real simple. All you got to do is just look at my website, and I'm a lawyer. If I lie about it, I could be disbarred. I don't know how I'm gonna, I could show you my my degree from University of West Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure on their website they probably have a list of people who graduated from there. But hey, put it in the comments, guys, if you know of a way I can prove to Ed Vincent SST that I never got an undergrad. Because I guess that's the matter that's in dispute here. But anyways, look, you never needed an undergrad. All this whole educational system, especially our public education system, that was brought here by Rockefeller. So our public education system that we have today, our lower education, was brought here by the Rockefeller family, and it was based on the Prussian model that was foisted upon the good people of Prussia after Napoleon kicked the crap out of the Prussians because all the troops ran. So the king of Prussia wanted to make sure that he had good lemmings that were reactionary thinkers, like what we have now, the blue-haired mafia with the rainbow flags everywhere, people who just go along groupthink. And that is what we got. We got a groupthink mentality of people who are reactionary thinkers. And my goal here is to teach you about natural law, to teach you about logical fallacies, and to teach you how to be critical thinkers, because the best lawyers are critical thinkers. The best humans are critical thinkers. And so I want you to start thinking like critical thinkers. Stop looking at news stories from for-profit media and presuming they're true. stop being brainwashed by the public education system into thinking that you have to rely on the official narrative, because usually the official narrative is bought and paid for by a large billion-dollar corporation. So in this particular case, we have let me see if we can see this. We have what I call a Leviathanic system. And right now, the state bar is trying to pass this portfolio bar exam. And I'm going to now give you the rationale of why they're saying it's a unique opportunity. They're saying that it's narrowly tailored, and they're saying it's just a small group of clearly identifiable people. They'll be able to develop supervisor relationships. They're saying there won't be any impact on law schools, which is nonsense. Of course there will be, especially bar exam prep courses. If this thing goes full bore, everybody's going to go for the easy way out, because that is the way young kids are taught nowadays, assuming they even have a dad at home. If they don't, good luck. Anyways, just want to kind of get in here with you. So they have, basically, this is like 100-page or something document. It's on my, it's in the description of the actual video. And I'm going to have a couple of friends of mine on here who are law professors who are going to talk about this some more in the future. But put it in the comments if you have any questions about it, or if you even understand what I'm talking about. Let me see here. Picture of a clown. Burden of proof is on the plaintiff. Yeah. Right. No, I mean, it's okay if people don't believe me. One time I saw this Navy SEAL. By the way, we're just going to kind of shoot the shit now, because unless you have questions about the portfolio bar exam, I got to finish this beer anyways. So hold on a minute. I want to see your license. Okay, so we'll just kind of shoot the breeze about the bar exam and about what goes on. So basically, you go to your law school, you get your undergrad, you go to your law school, and if it's a decent law school, apparently you have a higher chance at passing the bar exam. That's what they say. They say people who go to ABA schools have a higher pass rate than people who went to non-ABA schools. But the counter argument is just like, they say, oh, well, certain people aren't intelligent enough to get a voter ID. Now they're doing the same thing with schools. They're saying, well, certain people who could otherwise get a student loan and pay our school a lot of money. In other words, people who aren't incapable of passing the minimum education requirements that have at least a centuries of proven value. That's not going to fly anymore, in my opinion, is because they're just trying to get money. Now, the counter argument is that, well, like the program that I was on, and like our original Supreme Court justices, they didn't go to a law school. There weren't any law schools. And the education system, as we know, was started like, Harvard, Yale. They were like originally like Christian institutions. They were conservative. They had very tough, rigorous educational requirements and a very strict honor code. Well, that's all gone now. Now these schools, I don't know if you just saw what happened in Columbia, but we've got like Hamas protesters not letting Jewish teachers on the campus. I mean, it's just like something out of Nazi Germany. And by the way, Nazi Germany also had that same Preussian education system. And you almost kind of see this similar thing happening with critical race theory. Now you have the public schools telling like all the white kids that they're oppressors, and the minority kids that they're the oppressed. Well, that's what they did with the Jews in Germany. They said that the Jews are the oppressors and all of the Germans were oppressed. Same thing. I mean, there's really no difference. Same education system, same outcomes. And so now it'll be much easier for politicians to be able to control people and the outcomes of elections when they're complete retards who are incapable of critical thinking. So, oh, look at this. Yeah. Swedish Observer. Yes, good day. Yes, good day. So I think it's yeah, it's good day. It means I love you. Hey, give me a bunch of ones if I said it right, Swedish Observer. I'm taking a sip for you. How do I say bros? Bros? I think it's bros. Hold on. Thank you very much. Let me look at these things. So, anyways, guys, did I do it right? Yo, it's good day. I think I said it right. 20 is like $2 US. Hey, I don't care. It's just the thought that counts, brother. It's all right. Peace to be. So, okay. So yeah, the thing is Abraham Lincoln, for example, most of the people who became lawyers in early America, they would read the law. They would study under a judge or a lawyer, or they went to the Inns of Court in England and then came back here. I think several of our founding fathers actually were educated at the Temple Inn, if I'm not mistaken. I actually have a book that I'm writing right now about, famous lawyers who became a lawyer without law school and famous justices. And I trace the history of our law schools from the Temple Inn all the way over here to the United States. And one of the things that you'll see is the lawyers back then, in my opinion, got better educations because they learned natural law, because our Bill of Rights was based on natural law with John Locke. This whole Leviathanic Hobbesian thing that the left is trying to foist on our schools and stuff, that's like KGB stuff or stuff that the Stasi was into. It's not real American stuff. It's about, groupthink, mind control. And you kind of see that, they're wearing their Che Guevara t-shirts at all the college campuses. So they kind of won. The KGB got what they wanted, just that communist China took over with the Confucian societies. And you see these teachers constantly getting busted for, helping the communist Chinese. Eric Swalwell, one of our representatives, was sleeping with a communist spy. Dianne Feinstein, like her limo driver, I think for over 20 years, was a communist Chinese spy. So they've successfully infiltrated at least our West Coast politicians pretty well. And you can kind of see now they're going to go ahead and make sure we have these ABA schools that have these portfolio bar program thing. So, and of course, it's kind of like, in California, oh, crime's down. Well, yeah, because you lowered the penalties for felonies. So yeah, crime's down. So that's what they'll do. They'll say, oh, well, grades are up, because they lowered all the standards at the schools so they could say they have better grades, or, they make murder no longer a felony. So, hey, now there's hardly any felonies, right? That's how they do it. It's all just a lie. I mean, look, over 500,000 people just like fled California, like in less than a year. I mean, it's just, people like me don't want to be in California. If you have kids, you got to be out of your mind. So let's see here. Any comments here? Anybody's got? Hi, homie, SWE Observer. Thank you. Thanks for coming. All right. Yeah, we all love Team DLZ. Temple Bar. Yeah, Temple Inn. I think Temple Inn. Yeah, I think it's the Temple Inn. If anybody has any questions for me up to this point, if not, I'm going to just take a look here. So what I want you to do is, click on the links in my description of this and just take a look at what I'm talking about. And, just tell me what you think. I personally don't think a portfolio bar exam is going to be helpful. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of very unqualified people who are now practicing a narrow area of law, who are not educated in other areas of law, and it's going to be a problem. For example, when I do a personal injury claim involving a home, and let's say someone trips and falls, and let's say the grab bar comes loose from the wall when they fell. Well, if someone's not trained well enough in law, if they haven't had enough training, they wouldn't recognize there could be other claims besides just a trip and fall on some water. For example, that bar there could have been a construction defect type of an issue, which means there's more insurance policies. Or for example, if I'm doing a case against a police officer civilly and I don't understand criminal law that well, I may not know that I can also do a civil petitus motion. the Pitches motion, Pitchess. It's the one we use in California to get the officers' file of personnel complaints, because sometimes those personnel complaints might be relevant to the case at hand where you're suing the officer for, just like they might be relevant in an excessive force criminal arrest case. For example, if you get arrested by an officer and you're claiming that it was a false arrest, well, you want to do a Pitches motion and get his personnel file. Even if it wasn't a criminal case, it could have been a civil complaint against him that alleges similar things. And then you could go ahead and interview those witnesses and maybe have them even come to testify on behalf of the defendant at trial as somebody who knows that this officer engages in a pattern and practice of dishonest behavior, false arrest, for example. So by not allowing people to receive the proper education and giving them a pass, and then by only allowing certain schools that are buddies with these politicians, carve outs, which we see Newsom give his buddies all the time. Whenever he does minimum wage increases, he makes sure to carve out exceptions for all of his rich buddies who have delis and whatnot. See it happening all the time. You want to start putting porn in the elementary school libraries that your friends are selling, so you make it, you just don't enforce the porn laws, and you make a deal with the National Education Association and all these other people in the news media to say it's not really porn, even though those same books, guys, I'm telling you right now, because I do parental rights, if you had them in a bookstore, by law, they would have to be in the adult book section. So all these people that are saying it's not really porn, they're smoking crack, they're lying to you. And if they say, and I invite any of you people, you anti-parental rights, pro K through 12, genital mutilation people who support that stuff, I invite you to come on my show and debate with me. I'm not hiding. I mean, I can prove to you with the law, with statute and common sense that all your guys are trying to sexualize kids, and you should just leave our kids alone. Now, let's go in here and take a look here. Grateful Dabs. Thank you, brother. I love Grateful Dabs. I love the Grateful Dead too. I'm always willing to keep your wife happy. Thanks, Grateful Dab. And I'm willing to take a drink for you. I'll drink to that. It's kind of funny. The longer I'm in here with you, the happier I am. So as long as she sees super chats, I'm happy to stay in here forever. Oh my gosh. Ralph Riley. Here we go. Here's another one, brother. Do you want to write a letter for me? I could. It depends on what it says. I mean, obviously I don't want to say I'm coming in hot with a full bandolier for my buddy Ralph, but because I want trouble. But yeah, man. Hold on. Oh man, Chevy again. Man, dude, you guys are awesome. I hope you're not paying like some kind of fee at like 20 cents to send $2 kind of thing. That would suck. Sorry, I'm not around as much. No, it's okay, Scrubzilla. Look, I just appreciate anyone showing up. I mean, I see all these other guys. They have like 400 or 500 people showing up, and all they do is flame each other and talk trash on Chile. I figure, being a Marine and all, I want to have an elite group of well-educated people who will go out and spread the word. And I want you guys to understand what's going on. I do believe that there is a huge corporate conspiracy to dumb down America, especially our kids, to make them stupid, to get them on hormones, to inject them with DNA altering substances, and to soy boy our sons and make our men weak. I really do believe that, and I believe that the beneficiaries are countries like communist China and Russia, the very same people who have a stranglehold, the very same countries who have a stranglehold, at least ideologically, on our college campuses and in our education system proper. And I think the best thing you guys could do is homestead. If you have kids, you should be homeschooling them, and you should be doing everything you can to teach your kids about natural law and do everything you can to get law licenses for them. And I know the other side will say, oh, if you have a law license, you're part of the English bar. You're only loyal to the court. Guys, there's not very many courts that would probably even want to sit down and have dinner with me. As soon as they see me associating with people like Chile, I don't think any judge is going to want to be my friend. And I think the same goes for most cops and prosecutors. But I'm not guilty. You make me guilty by association. I know a lot of you guys don't like the guy. I think from my angle, I think that the guy is a genius on many levels. I think he has other areas of his life, like all of us, that need improvement. But I'm not going to judge him based upon a few isolated instances. I'm going to judge him based upon his knowledge. And he has a mind like a sponge. I disagree with him on many of his legal theories, but on the things that really matter, I agree with him 100%. And I would like to train him to be a lawyer. I think he would make a great lawyer. And I think with my influence, he could improve other areas of his life as well. And I think that rather than throw people in the trash can and trash talk them like all these frauditor guys or whatever are doing to each other, like basically eating their own. Ben Franklin said, we either hang together or we all hang separately. By the way, make sure to like and subscribe, guys. Always subscribe and like and share because you're never going to get this information anywhere else. And I'm looking also, guys, at the comment. Normally BZ's over here lighting me up saying, do this, do that. Doesn't look like I have to take, I do. I got to take another drink. All right, Ralph. Simple cease and desist notice. We can take a look at it, brother. Just reach out to me. Reach out to me through BZ, because otherwise all these guys start reaching out to me through my firm, and I can't do any business because the firm, I just want you guys reaching out if it's a case. But if it's other stuff like my buddies on YouTube, then I'll help you out. Keeping in mind that I'm busy, guys. Yeah, meat and beer have, oh, you know what? It is true. Citizens Broadcasting Cooperative. Okay, here's the thing. Alcohol definitely can raise your estrogen because it raises your cortisol as well. And anytime you drink alcohol, it suppresses testosterone production. So I don't recommend drinking a lot, guys. And then what Citizens Broadcasting is saying about meat, well, meat also, it increases the good and bad. Well, they say bad cholesterol, but I think cholesterol is good if you're working out. It helps with cholesterol and vitamin B12 and a lot of other good stuff. But Citizens Broadcasting, check it out, man. I also have done videos about nutrition and fitness on my channel. If you look back at some of my older videos, nutrition and fitness are really important and a big deal to me because, my dad had Agent Orange exposure from Nam. So I'm terrified I probably have something too, right? Because it could be mutated. And so I'm all about eating right, taking tons of vitamin D3 and K2, or I think it's K2 or K3. But I'd love to have you on and talk more about nutrition because, like, guys, especially guys like Basil, I really want to get you guys eating right, getting off the sugar, because I want you to live good, healthy, long lives. Don't use a microwave oven. It mimics the effects of radiation cancer. There's so many things I want to share with you guys because I want to develop an army of critical thinkers, because the 52 people that I have right now listening to this are more valuable than 20,000 weak-minded reactionary listeners who are just watching and smoking crack or doing their meth, talking about how they hate cops, who are never going to make any changes at all. Why don't you let me and Basil teach you how to do FOIA requests and how to set up your lawsuit so you can win? And not because you want to sue, but because you want to hold public officials accountable and make them start abiding by your rights, upholding your rights instead of trashing your rights, teaching them. Now, again, I am going to be seeing Chile tomorrow. At least that's the plan, if they let me in, of course. And so if you have any questions or anybody wants me to send some love to them, they won't let me bring perfumed envelopes in. I just found that out the other day, so that's not going to fly. Guess that's a new rule. No more perfume on the envelopes, ladies. And look, I agree with Kevin. I think that Chile does have a good heart. I know a lot of people don't like him. I see it. You guys tell me all the time, and what a terrible person I am for giving him a chance and at least presenting his side of the story. And that's, I gave a story about, I think it was John Adams, or was it John Adams? One of our founding fathers, where he represented the British guys who shot the colonists, and they called him a traitor and stuff. And he ended up becoming one of our presidents. But the idea is that as a lawyer and as a natural law theorist and a civil libertarian, I don't fit into any of those holes that the government wants me to fit into. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, and they want that because they want to have that division. You want gay or straight. They want black or white. They always want to divide us. And no, I'm just a guy who believes I'm a common man. I'm a free man upon the land. That's what I am. I'm a free man upon the land, not upon the sea. And I support every other human being's right to exist and coexist along with me. And I want everybody to be able to do it without taking money from their neighbor. Social safety nets should be there as a safety net, not as a first resort. And the best way you can avoid becoming dependent on your neighbor's paycheck is to educate yourself. And I think homesteaders are awesome too, because they're growing their own food, capturing their own water. The further you are off the grid, the less likelihood you have of becoming a slave to that politician in BlackRock and these big companies that want to inject your kids. Now, for life, let's see here. Yeah, Mikey, I know the guy, and he's really, what a dynamic personality, Mikey. Gee whiz, I got nothing on him. I mean, his personality is so dynamic. My goodness. Yeah, human beings don't belong in cages, and they shouldn't be treated like that. And in Chile's case, they've got him locked up in a room in an area with other people who are like crazy people, talking in their sleep all night or just talking to themselves, walking around, and then straight violent people, and then just regular people who are nonviolent like him. They put them all in there together, and it's torture. It is a dungeon. It's totally unfair. It's not right. Shouldn't be happening. There has to be another way. Now, Graham B says he'd be a terrible lawyer. Let him try first year law and the baby bar. Well, Graham B, that's the thing. At least there's standards. And that was the whole point of this exercise, is that the bar exam process, it teaches you how to study. It doesn't teach you how to be a rote memorizer. That's just nonsense. That's the BS excuse that the progressives always give to lower standards. They always have some nonsense. Oh, this other person doesn't have as good of a memory because he's a minority. This other person's a minority, so that they're not intelligent enough to get a voter ID. It's just nonsense. It's stupid. Oh, you poor thing. Let me coddle you. Here's some more government money. Make sure to vote for me. That's all that is. It's ridiculous. But if you really want to find out if someone would be a terrible lawyer or not, put them through the process. Because again, the bar exam is a problem-solving speed exam. So it's designed, if you have a potential new client sitting in front of you, this person can spit out a fact pattern, and in your mind, you can quickly identify the problems, break them down, look at crossover issues, cross-related issues in your mind, and you can eliminate and identify issues from statutes of limitations or whatever else it might be, guys, interjurisdictional issues. And that's what it's designed to teach you to do. It's designed to teach you how to analyze things quickly. And that's what we want to do as lawyers, because lawyers are expensive and it's time consuming to do legal research. So you want to have that base knowledge, so you can be fair with your client. Now, let's see here. Yeah, make sure to everybody like and subscribe and share. I think whiskey's bad for you too, Dawad. Now, I do have soy is really bad because soy definitely increases your estrogen and blocks testosterone. And we see that, we see the progressive side, they don't like masculine men. And we see the laws they pass are designed to remove the man from the household. So there's a single mom who's very emotional, obviously, because, the more estrogen you have, the more emotional you'll get. In fact, roid rage is not from testosterone. Roid rage is a mechanism of your negatives. They call it your negative feedback loop. So anytime you raise your testosterone levels, your body tries, just like when you raise your insulin levels, your blood sugar, your insulin tries to level out. Same thing when you put synthetic hormones into your body, like anabolic steroids. When you raise your testosterone, your estrogen levels also go up to try to balance it out. And estrogen is what gives you roid rage, like a woman who's on menopause. That's what roid rage is. It's a man's version of manopause, basically. A lot of people don't know that. And that's another problem with public schools and in the colleges. Even these professors don't know anything either. I mean, they just read whatever these progressive books are, and they just teach it as true, especially if it's parroted by Washington Post, aka Jeff Bezos, right? He owns that newspaper. You really think some billionaire who owns news media isn't going to create false narratives so he can sell more stuff or push whatever pharmaceutical company he's invested in? Really, guys, wake up. That's not news. That's fake news. That's the real fake news is NPR, government subsidized news stations, and these journalists who still refuse to cover Epstein Island. I mean, they're not even journalists. They're just bought and paid for covering for these scumbags. So anyways, let's just take a look here. Chile is one of a kind. I agree with that. Hey, so we're at 54 now. Not bad. Hey, thanks again, Swedish Observer. Hej då. Yes, good day. All right, I'm doing it. Woo. So Citizens Broadcasting, they do. And I just heard, and put it in the comments if I'm wrong about this, Citizens, but I did hear that all pork is being injected with mRNA now. And if that's the case, that's another reason not to take mRNA. And also on my my blog, michaeleline.com, you might have to go back a couple months in the search history, but check out my article about how you don't have to go through the radiation machines at the airport. So we know that those x-ray machines are radiation machines. It's like getting an x-ray, right? And they say, oh, well, it's no different than the sun. It's a different kind of radiation, guys. Never believe anything the government tells you, first of all. It's a different kind of radiation than the sun, okay? Do your research. You do not have to go through that machine. You can opt. And the problem is everybody will look at you like you're crazy. And that's what they want. That's why you need to get your kids off the grid. Oh, we have to go along with whatever the group does. If they're getting injected, if they're going to go and stand in front of the firing squad, we need to do that too. See, when I was growing up, our parents said, if everybody jumped off a cliff, would you do that? And now they teach the exact opposite. And you don't even have two parents at the house to begin with, right? So the kids are not getting the proper instruction. So I just want you guys to be aware of what's going on. Now, yeah, and you should keep praying for him, Mikey, because it's hell. When I saw him, I could tell that he was just going through hell. Nobody should be, a nonviolent person should not be in that kind of a jail. You could come up with a segregated, area like a private home that's got chain link fences where there's cameras everywhere to keep an eye on people, where they're nonviolent and kind of like, they go through that like a halfway house kind of, but putting them in a jail like that, they can't work. I mean, the guy can't support his family. Putting people in jail like that, making them pay a fine, and then they lose their family, their wives leave them, or they lose their business. It's just ridiculous, guys. Come on, wake up, people. And then you have like all the BLM rioters, they get out of jail because of politics. Like these are like people who actually caused billions of dollars in damage. Nothing happened to them. But then the Jan 6 guys, they're locked in private cells. I mean, you can see it, what's going on politically. Like you've got over half of our population who no longer trusts our criminal justice system. It's ridiculous, guys. I mean, come on. We can't just sit there and trash them because they feel that way. We need to make changes and lowering the bar exam, getting rid of the bar exam and just lowering standards, making kids dumb, not making kids critical thinkers. You really think that's going to make us be able to face China or Russia in a coming war? I mean, they're laughing at us right now, guys. They're laughing at us. Now, let's see here. Grateful Dabs. I thought long wave radiation was far less harmful than short wave. Yeah. So, okay. So Grateful Dabs, I'm with you. The bottom line is my opinion, and there is definitely a body, unfortunately, the body of evidence supporting microwave use are typically microwave oven corporation paid studies, right? The body of evidence against microwave use are typical, like the holistic healer type doctors who are constantly being attacked as conspiracy theorists by big pharma. And I just tend to not trust big pharma. So I always go with the hippies, right? The people who believe in holistic healing and homeopathy, Chinese medicine, ancient herbology, things like that. Because I think that's better, in my opinion. Good nutrition, When you have doctors telling you should be okay with your body image when you're morbidly obese, just take this pill because they get a kickback from the pharmaceutical industry. I don't think that's going to fly. But okay, as far as microwaves go, so the idea is radiation speeds up the molecule, removes the water, I guess. That's why you get all the mist. That's irradiated food, bud. That's radiation. Yeah, whether it's of a different type of radiation or not. Yeah, that's true. But I would go with a iron skillet and just warm up my food in an iron skillet. If I know I'm hungry, just do it, cook it 10 minutes, throw it on the skillet. If you're not going to be hungry in 10 minutes, throw it on the skillet. It's always better that way. And it gets your taste buds going because you smell the garlic and the salt and all that stuff cooking. It's more natural. Now, let me keep on going down here. Now, what you did, Michael, you showed evidence of truth, and many other people did, that chili was innocent. Yeah. Okay. Now here's the other thing. That's another interesting thing. So Avilia brought up. So remember this, guys. So remember, there's guilty, not guilty, and innocent. And I think at common law, there's a couple of other ones. So not guilty simply means that a jury found there wasn't enough evidence to find you guilty. But innocent means that you didn't do it. So just remember that. Like O.J. Simpson wasn't innocent. He was found not guilty. Now, what he could have done if there wasn't such overwhelming evidence against him is he could have filed a motion for a finding of factual innocence. And that's what you do with a false arrest case where you're like me and you just do not, under any circumstances, want to accept not guilty as being good enough. You file a motion for a finding of factual innocence, and then on the record, you're proven innocent. So just remember that, guys. There's always an exception. Let me keep on going here. I'm just looking in the sidebar, guys. Don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm just looking over here. I got my camera here and I got this over here. So yeah, chili is good with tikka masala chicken, someone said. Okay, that's clearly a joker. Okay. And then now Chevy says the microwave is safe. And some people say it is. Other people say it's not. A lot of people said aspartame was safe. Now we know that it's not. We know that it converts to formaldehyde when it's heated over 98.6 degrees, which is your body temperature. And that's why people who drink a lot of aspartame, their bodies don't decompose as fast because they already have plenty of preservatives in their body. And we know that the saccharin stuff, what's it called? Sucralose, that converts to chlorine in your bloodstream. So that's pretty unsafe too, even though they say it's not. But see, the problem is, guys, is you have like the heads of the FDA and the CDC. They get jobs like working for like Biden administration or even the Trump administration for that matter. Or then they go back to their job at Big Pharma. Then they go back to the federal government. Same with Google or Facebook. They have all these FBI and CIA agents, back and forth jobs, formulating these policies to make it easier for the government to spy on you, helping the government spy on you, hiding behind social media and the news as a basis to censor you, to get around the First Amendment, right? Because we know that at least one Supreme Court justice recently said that the First Amendment hamstrings the government. So you kind of see like the new progressive wing is about control, 10 minutes, 15-minute cities, cars that they can study. Got to have an electric car with a kill switch. If you say anything bad about vaccines or the government, we can reduce your social credit score. So you have to say good stuff. The whole idea is to create a false sense of uniformity, a false sense of majority. And that's how they do it in communist China. Everyone agrees. Everyone votes for the Communist Party. And that they're kind of trying to do. They're not kind of trying to. They are doing that here, and that's being led by the World Economic Forum and those guys. Let me see here if I got anything else going on here. Chili red finger, hugs, OTVO. Hey, give me a bunch of ones for chili. We'll get off here in a few minutes. I still got some beer left. Does everybody understand what's going on with the bar exam in California? It's a pilot program designed to basically let people who can't pass the bar still practice law, but in a limited way. You kind of get that? And how everything that happens in California eventually spreads to all the other states. And I hope that you can include in the comments some things that you're fearful that could happen as a result of having people who are less qualified than even some of the crummy lawyers we have now being able to selectively practice law. Mikey, I don't drink alcohol. Yeah, I shouldn't either. Let me see here. Yeah, where is the justice when you have crooked judges? And I'll tell you something, this is a real problem. Now we have pretty much universally all these Democrat judges coming after Trump. And like one of them's basically saying, you realize you won't be able to campaign because I'm going to make sure you're in court during the time that you'd be on the campaign trail. I mean, I hope you guys see how to the other side, that just looks like it's just purely political. And it's really going to create a lot of problems for the country. That's why up until this new progressive millennial Gen Zer group of blue-haired college kids that are now politicians existed, they never did that because they knew that this would end up happening. Because I'm telling you right now, man, if the other side somehow gets in power, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I don't mean by real blood, but I mean a political bloodbath. There's going to be, like Tea Party type judges that might have gotten on the bench doing the same thing to the liberals. And I just hope you guys realize that you really screwed yourselves on the other side by trying to send Trump to the guillotine. You made him into a martyr. And now the post office, are you kidding me? Everybody thinks that the post office is another branch of the Democrat Party, and they're the ones handling the ballots. This is a real problem. There's a real credibility gap. And I think the swing voters aren't going for it anymore. I don't think they buy it. They've saw the video footage of, postal trucks pulling up at midnight with all these ballots getting unloaded after they kicked out all the poll watchers. People aren't stupid, guys. Wake up. All right. I haven't drank in about 5 weeks because of the surgery. Good for you. Maybe I should have more surgeries. Jackboot, I do, but I'm only licensed to practice law in Texas and California. So anything else that we would discuss would have to be based on general legal principles. And of course, I would, through my network of typically retired Marines who are lawyers, I would try to find you a good lawyer. I know quite a few lawyers. And, I could always ask Chili to help promote them or something that, if it would mean helping you find a good lawyer. And that's what I try to do. I'll try to cut trades with people to try to help people out. Like if I see that you need a lawyer and I have a bunch of followers and subscribers, I can say, hey man, I'll give you a shout out on my YouTube channel if you help this guy. That's another reason to like and subscribe to me, because I will use the capital that you helped me build to try to help you guys back. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, Chevy. And hopefully there's not a whole lot of flame throwing going on in the sidebar anymore. I mean, sometimes you're going to get jerks, but I like to let all you guys speak freely unless it's like threatening stuff, Yeah, no. So yeah, Dr. I'll remember his name in a minute, but one of these doctors who testifies in front of Congress a lot, he released some information that I guess Bill Gates is injecting all the pork with mRNA. I don't know if that's true, and yeah, you're right about. By the way, guys, I just want to show you an example of what scumbags politicians are. So it used to be that there had to be on the ingredients that this has been injected with hormones, right? What do they call that? NGO, MSGs, or no, not MSGs. What is it? Citizens Broadcasting, that stuff that they, you just mentioned it a minute ago. I'm looking for super chats as I scroll down. I don't see any, but well, anyways, the stuff, the hormones they put in the milk and all that stuff, or when they put chemicals and other shit in your food. Well, GMO, right? Non-GMO. Yeah. So Congress recently passed legislation and put it in the sidebar if I'm wrong, but my understanding is they basically said, no, you no longer have to say what's in there. You no longer have to disclose if it's organic or non-organic, or you can say it's organic if it's just like 2% of it has organic stuff in it. And see, because people are not properly educated in our education system to be critical thinkers, they just read the label and go, oh, this is good shit. No, it's not, guys. And no, that x-ray machine at the airport's not good. And no, if you're microwaving your food, you're eating radiated food, do the research. Whether it's safe or not, at least do the research yourself. If you disagree with me, good. But at least you did the research and found out, and we can debate it. Let's debate it. But when you call me stupid and tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist, that says more about you. That says you're not a critical thinker, that you believe in logic. You're all part of the logical fallacy. If your source isn't from an official government or Google approved source, you're a conspiracy theorist. That is what the government is trying to do to you. They're destroying your ability to be a human being. A real human being who cares about their family and about their bodies is going to go outside that sphere and do their own research. And it's like iron sharpening iron. When you trust me and you like me and you know that I'm not trying to steer you the wrong way, I'm going to try to help you. And if I'm wrong, you come to me. I think it's in either Psalms or Proverbs that we're not supposed to rebuke a brother. And for the same way goes with the ladies, but you have to handle it. You have to take it constructively and not start throwing bombs on each other, because we're trying to help each other. So if we could do that, we'll get a lot further here. Now, our food is poison. The stuff they're putting in our food is poison, guys. And because they have these heads of these billion-dollar, all of the heads of big pharma at some point or another, right, ran the CDC or the FDA or were high-level employees at those agencies, guys. And pharma is immune from being sued. That's how much power they have. So you can't even sue these guys except like if you can prove like fraud or whatever, right? I think, wasn't it $28 billion, some huge multi-billion dollar criminal fraud case that Pfizer lost a few years ago, not reported anywhere in the news media, of course, right? Why? Well, whose name do you see on the Grammys? Pfizer. I mean, come on, guys, wake up. They're pay for all these news reporters. You're not getting the truth. In fact, in California, they passed a law to take away your medical license if you disagreed with the official narrative. And a lot of doctors were going to lose their licenses. And I guess the law got repealed. But if you want to reach out to me, I'll send you the links, because the search engines did a good job at trying to bury all that, guys. They try to literally bury stuff and scrub it after, like over 2,000 articles got scrubbed from the NIH website that were false, where they tried to say that these things that you're putting in your body are good. And when they were trashing ivermectin, they had to scrub all that off of their prestigious medical journals. Remember that guy, that prestigious, because it came from the official sources. We're all getting paid by these big multi-billion dollar companies. So I'm encouraging all of you to become critical thinkers and just stop listening to what you hear on the news, because it's usually garbage. Let me see here. Absolutely, Jessica. And if you know more about it, I'd love to have you on as a guest and have you talk about it, but it would have to be on Rumble, because if we talk about it here, if you go against the official WHO narrative and stuff, I'm pretty sure you can lose your channel. I think the owner of WHO was bragging recently, we own Google, or we own the science. So you won't get anywhere here other than to get censored and maybe lose your ability to talk to people. So just make sure you do it on like Patreon or another site. It doesn't pay to disagree with anything that pays these people money. Now, yes, that is actually that. I don't know if it was one of the biggest, but I know they had one of the biggest criminal felony judgments, criminal felony convictions / fines ever in history. It was in the billions. As are the soap, laundry detergent, all the crap they put in there, fluoride. I mean, what the heck? National Institutes of Horror. Thanks, Let's OTVO. I think they are. Look, I just want people to be critical thinkers. I want people to start thinking for themselves and, follow me as long as you can until I get banned, because I'm on your team, Team DLZ. And, yeah. Well, looks like I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about. I really just wanted to get into the dumbing down of America and how it's all starting at the elementary school level and then working its way up into the colleges. And then you have this worthless degree like underwater basket weaving or something. And now some politician comes along and says, hey, I'll make Mike Uihlein pay a bunch of tax dollars to forgive your student loan. Just vote for me. And just how unfair that is and how absurd that is. And how instead of encouraging people to go through these brainwashing re-education, communist re-education camps at these colleges, they should be teaching kids how to be plumbers, how to be electricians, how to make YouTube videos, how to do things that can actually contribute to their family and society instead of a worthless degree that leaves them strapped with a payment where they're forced to vote for that one political party who will always use your and my tax dollars to forgive their student loan. And you can kind of see that's what's going on. They're slaves and they're forced to vote for people they never would otherwise vote for because they can never get ahead now because they're strapped with a worthless degree, with an outrageous loan for an inflated education that's not even an education. It's just worthless. I mean, most of these degrees are worthless. I don't really see any value in most degrees. I mean, a law license makes sense. Law degree makes sense. Philosophy makes sense. If you want to be a teacher. But a lot of these people get these degrees and they think they're going to come out the gate making millions, and it's just not how it is. This is what makes you millions. Your ability to be an entrepreneur, your ability to be a critical thinker. Look at all the big billionaires. They hire the guys with the degrees, but they don't have them. Think about that. So, Mountain Man, you can get to interview with me. Just reach out to reach out to BZ Watchdog because now we are kind of booked up, at least for this week. Very informative, salty. I appreciate that, man. And that's the thing. Look, I know that I'm not like the shock jock, showing videos of people getting run over, but I am somebody who's very educated and smarter than your average bear. And I have life experience that 99% of lawyers have never had. So I understand common people because I am a common man who just happens to be really intelligent. And I think that degrees don't mean anything to me. What matters to me is the first 5 minutes of my conversation with you. I'll know about your processing speed. I'll have sized you up and know exactly who I'm dealing with. And that comes from life experience and from having been in sales and been in blue collar jobs. They don't teach you that at educational institutions. I believe the best way to be a good lawyer is to be out in the real world first. And that's why I do believe in the traditional reading for the law and the guild system. I just don't agree with this particular system they're setting up to just put more power into the failing ABA law school system. Now they're just going to allow a bunch of people who could never pass the bar exam to provide tuition and money. And that's just going to help the politicians. It's not going to help us at all. It never does. And that, giving money to scumbags at like NPR and all these far left, propaganda peddling in education institutions, it's not helping you and me, guys. It is not helping us. If you want to help us, start supporting each other. Teach your kid how to be a plumber or an electrician. Teach them that that's honorable and to pursue honor above money. Pursue honor above money always in everything you do. Honor is super, super important, especially when you have a son. You need to pass that on to him. Super important. Now, Mountain Man, I probably did. I don't remember, dude. I mean, I talked to so many people, but you can reach out to me if you got my number or StreamYard. That's fine. Let me see here. Michael, we appreciate you. I appreciate you, Avelia. And then we saw the other day also the Supreme Court in a 9-0 said that this whole critical race theory stuff is garbage. You cannot discriminate against white people like the way you used to discriminate against black people. Two wrongs don't make a right. And so bravo, that was pretty amazing. And yeah, we should all try to leave all that crap, all those theories that divide people and make us hate each other at the door. Look a man in the eye and shake his hand, take him at face value, and try to have some common ground. I think it's the best way we could go right now, guys. We can't agree on everything, and we don't want to. We don't want to be like those college kids. I don't want you to be like those college guys, man. I want you to be free thinkers, right? I don't want y'all to go dye your hair purple and get a sleeve tattoo and run around and scream at Christians and tell them that they're colonizers. No, man. I want you to think for yourselves. I want you to think that you're a free person and that you're special because God made you all unique, and that none of us are perfect, and that we need to stand up for each other when we agree on the things that matter, like protecting our kids and our families and our borders, and letting people become citizens when they've proven to us that they can become part of our club that we created, guys. They can become part of our club when they take the test, they learn about our history, they learn to pledge allegiance to our flag and our way of life. They learn about the Bill of Rights, not just people who run up here, who escape some prison down in Venezuela, who get free phones, free hotels, and already expect free everything as soon as they come across. Absolutely not. That's absurd. And if you agree with me, stay tuned, because I'm going to have other guests like retired Border Patrol officers and other people who I can't name right now because they're high-level security clearance to come on and talk about what's really going on. What's really going on. It's all about using the census to redistrict our country and to basically make it a one world government. And that's the goal here. And we need to be focused on it, because your Second Amendment's it's teetering. All it takes is a couple more appellate justice or a couple more Supreme Court justices, which will happen after the next census. You will have no more Second Amendment. Think about that. With no Second Amendment, you certainly won't have a First Amendment. Now, let's do this. Let's do this. You're welcome, Jessica Kyrie. And then Mountain Man, we definitely, if I've talked to you before, I probably just don't remember the name, but we can talk again and we can interview, whatever. I'm down for that. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. Make sure to share this with everybody, guys. This is really important. This is about like the collapse of our legal education system. And with that collapse of our education system is going to become every snake oil salesman lawyer that you could ever imagine times 50 million. I believe this is just the absolute end of the end. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is a gift to all these schools who give money to politicians, because let's face it, parents aren't sending their kids. Good parents don't send their kids to Columbia University. Good parents don't send their kids to Harvard. They're not sending their kids to these schools. They're having problems, guys. They need to find ways to make more money. And ultimately, it's going to be you and I who have to pay for it when the next politician says, oh, I'll forgive your loan if you vote for me. Remember what I'm saying, guys. There should be a law that should not be allowed to happen. It's no different than buying votes. And you guys, we earned it, especially you veterans like Let's OTVO. He served longer than I did. If you served in combat, hats off. You guys are the ones who earned this. You're the ones who made it possible for us to feel free and secure. And we need to change this. This whole thing needs to be changed. And we can change it with the 50 people that are here right now. Because like I said, an army of lions led by a sheep is ineffective, but an army of sheep led by a lion is effective. And I'm not saying that you're an army of sheep. I'm saying that I'm a lion, and I'm saying that you're all lions because you're here with me. Now I want you to go out and find those sheep and lead them and make them into lions too. And I don't want you to just be out there reactionary and getting upset. I want you to arm yourself with the knowledge of the law. Now, again, I shared this with you the other day. Go and take a look at my shorts. I've got a whole bunch of them on tort law and elements of torts and these things like that. Share those too. Make sure to put them on TikTok if you can. Share them to Instagram. Share them to Reddit. Start teaching people the basic elements of the law, of tort law, and then I'll do a series on criminal law and criminal procedure as well. Basically, I'm going to teach you guys everything that I learned in law school as well as on the law study program. I'm just not going to be the one credentialing you, but I'll teach you enough basic general understanding to where you'll be able to hold your own and you'll have confidence when you're out there dealing with contracts, with the bank, And then if you have further questions where you need legal help, you'll be able to intelligently discuss those things with your lawyer. And so I ask that you support my channel. I ask that rather than supporting me directly with money, to support the Paul Eline Memorial Ride and help me further my goal to get PACT Act benefits to the West Coast veterans suffering from service-related cancers and post-traumatic stress disorder. The event coming up in Conroe, Texas, I'll have Doogie. He's a former U.S. Navy SEAL and combat Navy corpsman. He's the vice president of the Leathernecks Motorcycle Club. We're going to have a motorcycle ride with a bunch of bikers, and we're going to go to this cool bar. We're going to have some fun. We're going to live stream it. So that's the kind of stuff I'd like you to support. Support veterans, support Marines, support the wives who gave up their jobs to take care of their husbands who are dying of service-related cancer. I lost my father from service-related cancer. That's why I'm doing this, you know. So if you guys want to really help me, help people like my dad who really earned it, you know, who really deserve to be helped, who got screwed under by the VA and stuff. You know, so help me do that. Now, all right. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. I really appreciate you guys showing up. And make sure to check out all the links in the description. Semper Fi, do or die.